Hello. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for tonight's Panthers Winner Circle series. I'm Jasmine McKeever. I'm a 2016 graduate of Georgia State University, and I am the 2020-2021 president of the Georgia State University Young Alumni Council. So today we're going to have our Panthers Winner Circle series, but first I'm going to talk a little bit about the Young Alumni Council and who we are and what we do. So the Young Alumni Council is a leadership organization dedicated to fostering and sustaining relationships with 40 and under Georgia State alumni. And our five pillars that this Panthers Winner Circle series is based off of is professional development, mentorship, community service, networking, and ambassadorship. Now, this Panthers Winner Circle series showcases Georgia State University under 40 alumni who kind of exemplify all of our pillars. And we're super excited today to have our special guest. And I will now turn it over to our vice president.
Hey, thanks, Jasmine, so much. My name is Byron Fitch, and I have the pleasure of serving as vice president of our Young Alumni Council for this year. And I'm always excited to host one of my favorite people, Jasmine. So, Jasmine, good to see you again.
Good to see you. As always, as always.
Yes. So I'm very excited to introduce Christopher Bruce as our next spotlight for this edition of our Panthers Winner Circle series. And so it's funny, I remember Chris back in the early 2000s, and yes, we are aging ourselves. That was back in 2006, 2007, as we were both attending Georgia State around the same time. And even back then, he was such a great force on campus, being involved in his fraternity and a lot of other organizations that focus on improving the lives of the students. And so here we are, fast forwarding 10 plus years later. Chris has continued to be a game changer on a whole nother level. His work as an attorney, a community and civil rights activist, GSU lecturer, and now political director of the ACLU of Georgia. To me, he is a very powerful, impactful servant and advocate for the people. So without further ado, let's welcome Christopher Bruce. How you doing, Chris?
Oh, man, I love the claps. Thanks, Jasmine. Hey, happy to be here. How y'all doing?
We are doing great. I'm glad to have you. Looking so official in your library background.
I know it's real too. This is not a fake Zoom background. These are like real books so that you can really touch.
Nice. How are you doing today?
Oh man, it's been quite the day. There's been a lot of things that have been happening in the Capitol dealing with voting rights and things. So hopefully we'll be able to touch on that too later on.
Well, good. Well, let's not keep the folks waiting online. So we're going to get started. So we're going to spend the next 20 minutes engaging Chris in some questions we've already asked them to kind of meditate on, and then we're going to take your questions from the audience. So for those of you who are virtual, please use that Ask a Question feature in your chat box. Once we get around 6:20-ish, we're going to open it up to you to ask questions and to pry. I'm sure there's nothing off the table for Chris to answer, so definitely get your questions ready. So with that said, I'm going to turn things back over to Jasmine, who will take our first question. Jasmine.
All right. So, Chris, for those of you who are watching who are not familiar, could you just provide a brief synopsis of your journey from Georgia State to now, kind of the things you're doing on campus, kind of your journey to even going to Georgia State in the first place, to now political director of ACLU Georgia? And I know this is a loaded question, but we want to know how you got here.
Oh, man, it's absolutely loaded. I always pride myself with saying, Georgia State was the one university I applied for college. So if I didn't get into Georgia State, I probably wouldn't have gone anywhere else. And that's not by happenstance. I just didn't apply anywhere else. But I literally did everything that you can think of on campus. I was a lifeguard. I was a resident assistant. I worked for Spotlight. I did lead team. I did literally everything. And the reason why I did everything was because a lot of these organizations, they provided food. I was a very starving college student. Food, literally. If you look at my leadership journey, it is literally, where can I have free food to provide me anything? So
that's real.
Even in it really is. Even in my senior year, I was an alpha, still RA, everything else. I had a full-time job being a paralegal. One of the best things about being a paralegal, if you work past 7 o'clock at a law firm, they will provide you dinner. So I was like, this is the best job ever. You get paid for it and you can do food. So, but when I graduated from Georgia State, worked at a law firm for a few years as I was trying to actually go ahead and get ready for the LSAT and things. I applied on the last day to get into University of Georgia School of Law. And 2 weeks later, I got an acceptance letter. Luckily, this was at the height of the recession, so everybody was going back to school. I graduated from Georgia Law and had to apply. This is at the height of the recession. Had to apply to be a solicitor, a prosecutor amongst 80 people for free. They were literally saying that we're going to offer you experience. We're not going to offer you money. Until one of my friends told me that she wanted me to apply for her law firm. Applied, got into the law firm, worked there for about 5 years, really saved up my paycheck to open up my own law firm. Then I was using my law firm, but I was also doing political campaigns. I used to follow around the city council president of Atlanta when he was running for mayor. But I knew he wasn't going to win. So kind of left that campaign really more towards in 2016, 3 days after Donald Trump was elected president, I received a phone call from the ACLU of Florida. And in that phone call, they were looking at ACLU of Georgia as a battleground state, even at that time in 2016. And they said they needed a
So
policy
4 years
council.
ago.
Oh, yeah, 4 years ago. And they were really looking for someone of color to make sure that they can make an impact within that. So really thinking forward. And I said, I've never lobbied before down at the Capitol or anything else. And she said, so many people have said so many good things about you. You'll figure it out. So I started off as policy counsel, became legislative director, and now I'm the political director dealing with campaigns, policy, and community service.
That is a phenomenal journey, and I'm glad that you focus more on staying in Georgia because you are here. We need you here representing for us, so that's great to hear.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Georgia's home. I do not want to. I like to travel, love to travel, but I always come back to Atlanta.
Definitely. All right.
Turn it over to Byron for the next question.
All right. Yeah. Next question for you. So, based upon you're familiar with our 5 pillars of our Young Alumni Council. So, out of those 5 pillars, which one of them would you say have you found to be the most essential ingredient to your success thus far, and why?
Oh, well, you can't beat networking. Networking is one of those type of things where if it's genuine, it pays off for itself. So one of the things about applying to law school, I was able to apply on the last day was because I knew one of the people who were on the admissions panel. I'm not suggesting that that's how you get into law school, but he definitely guided me through that. But it was because I knew him through several other organizations on Georgia State's campus. He went to UGA Law School and he helped me come through that way. My first job out of law school was, I'll be completely open about this. My first job out of law school was at a conservative law firm, nothing but Republicans up in Lawrenceville, and still good friends with them today, but all white people. And one of the people that I was really good friends with in law school, a white woman said, "Hey, I want you to apply for this job. We have absolutely no diversity there. Are you interested?" And again, remember, I was working for free. So the only question I had, does it pay? So I applied. Exactly. I was like, what?
I don't care.
Can I get a paycheck? Right.
Exactly.
Right. And it was actually a really good job. So out of, I think we had one of the largest class at UGA Law School, but she thought of me up front. And it was because of my service on honor court and helping out with people in the class and just going out and being a good guy. So you just never know. That I never expected her to hook me up with a job or give me that type of opportunity, but she did because of that. It was great for that. Then after that, just working and networking with people in the city of Atlanta doing community service. I mean, you can't beat it. It really led me to working on political campaigns. And again, when I was offered a job at the ACLU of Georgia, it was because there were so many other lobbyists and so many other politicos who were saying, Chris Bruce is the guy that you want in this role. So networking is one of those things where I just don't think it can't be beat. I was not the smartest law student, not going to say that. I was not the best lawyer out there. But as far as being a genuine person who's going to tell you the truth and follow through with my word, I can definitely do that.
And just to kind of piggyback off of this question before we get to the third, we talk about networking, and it's something that we all do and we all have to do in our respective careers. But what are some tips you can kind of give on networking? And I know just being a good person is really half the battle, honestly. But what are some networking tips or some things that you do to kind of get you into the door, into the room?
One, you definitely want to be genuine. So whoever you are, that's who you should come off as, not someone who's saying, well, they're interested in this, so I need to be interested in it. If you are, you are. If you're not, don't don't force it. But always be strategic too. So when I was coming out of law school, at one time I wanted to be the diversity and inclusion director for Coca-Cola. So I sought out the diversity and inclusion director of Coca-Cola. It took me a while to track him down and have coffee with him and follow him around. But I did it. And once I realized what he did for his job, I said, I don't want to do it. But he also became one of my mentors who helped me in my journey to get to the job that I'm at right now. So being genuine and being strategic about what you want to do and following through with it are definitely some of the pointers I would point out.
That is
Perfect. And
awesome advice.
awesome. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament because I believe in the philosophy. We talk about the best jobs are those you can apply for, and it's all about who you know. So I think that is a testament to all that you've done, being a household name in Atlanta, because I see your name, hear your name every day somewhere. You're doing some interview, you're doing some podcast. So you've created a brand, and I think that brand has paid off for you.
Local black man. That's exactly what it is.
That local black man. There you go.
Local black man.
And we actually have an audience question. What do you enjoy most about your job?
Oh, definitely helping people. There's probably about 3,000 registered lobbyists in the state of Georgia. You always hear about there's not enough lawyers. It's like 5% of lawyers are people of color or black. But it's even different, more of a stranger ratio when it comes to people who are registered lobbyists down at your state capitol. So if you have about 3,000 registered lobbyists, if I tell you only 60 of them are people of color and probably about 40 of them are black, that tells you why we do not get minority contracts that come from the government. That tells you why we do not have health care in our communities, the type of education we have, because we literally are not at the table doing things. So it was one of my biggest prideful moments, even today, when they were talking about rolling back voting in the state legislature at a committee hearing, to have a black man going up there saying, if you do this, this is going to impact over 34,000 people. Those are the type of things that I really care about and I'm passionate about it. And knowing that there are a lot of people who cannot make themselves down at the Capitol who would be disenfranchised and say, I'm speaking for them because they can't speak for themselves. That's what I really take pride in.
Awesome.
That is awesome. And thank you for that. For definitely advocating for, people who aren't always advocated for you stepping up in that place. So to our third official question, maybe this is our fourth or fifth. In addition to serving as political director, you run your own law firm. You serve as a GSU lecturer. You're involved with organizations like your fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha, Gate City Bar Association, Urban League of Greater Atlanta. And this is just to name a few, right? But as a result, what strategies have you implemented within your own life to maintain a balance while still succeeding in all of your goals and ongoing endeavors? How do you manage all of this going on, Chris?
Yeah, I was actually trying to type out an answer. I was like, I don't know, because I'm on the board of Hands on Atlanta as well. I'm on the board of the Young Lawyers Division for the State Bar of Georgia. Like, there's like 5 other things I'm involved with. Something I reflected on a long time ago, about 3 years ago, though, is that every day I had left my condo to go do something. Every day. There wasn't one day that I had spent 24 hours in my condo. And I realized I was literally exhausted. I didn't know why at the end of the year. I was just completely exhausted. So I made it myself with saying, at least for one day a month, I'm going to stay at home and literally not do anything, just rest and relax. And I think that's something that we need to do more. I'm very passionate about the things that I do. I love what I do. I think I'm in a great position because I'll work forever because I love it. I literally do. But it gets to a point where you get exhausted. So maintaining a work-life balance, I don't really have one because I love the type of work that I do. The friends that I have are doing the type of works that I do or around it. So it's like if I'm going out after this, I'm going out to have drinks with other lobbyists because we're friends. We have a good time, even if we're not on the same aisle.
Right.
Um, but for me, as far as balance goes, it's more of an internal thing of resting and being mindful of I have one body that I have to take care of, especially now that Byron pointed out we are a little bit older. So we
Just
have
a
to be
little
very
bit.
aware of what we're doing. Just
Just a little.
a little bit. Just
Just a smidge.
exactly.
Yeah, that's great advice. You're really preaching to the choir. And so I wonder, like, as far as when you're at home, beyond sleeping, what else do you do, like when you're at home, like to relax and unwind? Do you have any kind of ritual or any kind of things you do?
Let me tell you, the most relaxing thing that I can ever do is watching our Atlanta Falcons win a football game.
Oh,
Now,
no.
I know, Byron, you're going to say something. Jasmine, you're going to say something. Look, my
That's the
Same.
Falcons,
victory?
my Hawks, my Braves, all of them. When they win, I'm happy. When they lose, yeah. Other than that, no, I really just watch Netflix,
Mhm.
TV shows. I love documentaries.
Yeah.
I do. There's one that I just saw on the plane ride called The Current War, and it was
Mhm.
about Thomas Edison versus Nikolai Tesla and how they were trying to fight over what is the best type of electricity to revolutionize the world. Like, I'm a nerd. I love stuff
Wow.
like that and learning things like that. Check it out. The Current War is one of the best things that you'll ever watch as far as a documentary goes.
Nice. Okay. We
That's
got to check
awesome.
those out.
Yeah, I must say, our Atlanta teams being a native Atlantan, man, that's stressful sometimes. So when you said relaxing, I was like, whoo, how is
Woo!
that relaxing?
It is. Falcons fans, I mean, this is the most stressful. It doesn't matter if you're up by 20 points in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
You're just like, let's just wait till it's over. Let's just wait till it's over. So yes, that was
Yes.
definitely a joke. It is horrible. It's the most
Yes,
stressful
indeed.
thing that you could ever be, being an Atlanta fan.
And it looks like we have a live comment. So Chauncey, do you want to put that comment on the screen? Yeah, it looks like Victoria is giving you a shout out here.
Okay, Tor.
Thanks for the comment, Victoria Bowden.
Thanks, Victoria. And we have a couple questions coming in as well, but we'll wait till the end um, for those. And so we have one more official question from us, and I'll go ahead and turn it over back to Byron.
Yeah, the last question here. So, Chris, we know 2020 was the epitome of a roller coaster for us, to say the least. Between the COVID-19 pandemic, racial unrest and injustices, and of course, this unnerving political landscape, it was a lot for everybody to deal with. So, as someone who is actively working on all fronts to put forth viable policies, strategies, and actions to address these issues, first question, what are your thoughts on the future? And then two, what can we do as a young alumni to bring forth real change in our surrounding community?
Well, Byron, I think that's a great question because it's something that we deal with on an everyday basis of what's going to happen in the future and what can we do to make a difference. One of the things that I've been focused on that impacted me the most within this year was, well, last year, February 23rd, 2020, was when Ahmaud Arbery was murdered. Um, and I'll never forget that date because February 26th of 2012 was when Trayvon Martin was murdered. And I remember being a third year law student going down to Sanford, Florida, and talking to the community, trying to bring rest to them out of the anxious type of situation that happened during this murder. So it was literally traumatizing to me as a black man, as a black person, to know the work that I was doing 8 years ago is still the work that I'm doing 8 years later. So that I bring up that example because next week I'm going back to Brunswick to talk to the communities there of setting up a citizens review board. At that time, the police department, England County, did not do their job. So that's a situation where they need to be held accountable.
It's awesome.
Um, yeah, those are the things that we have to look at in the future. It's great that the McMichaels were arrested for the murder. It's great that the district attorney who obstructed justice went in it. She's gone. She was voted out. Now we have to make sure that the people are put in place of saying this is a standard to make sure that no one else is harassed by the police or anything else. Those are the type of things that I think that we need to focus on for the future. And as a community, we can actually petition our government of saying, we demand more and we demand better. So the record turnout that young people did for these past elections, you won the election. Now it's the hard part, literally the hard part, holding them accountable and making sure they put through the change that you advocated for.
Yeah, that's a great point. Voting is
Definitely.
one thing, but what do you do after that? And we know the
Exactly.
policies need to change. We know that we have to support our elected officials, and we have Ossoff and Warnock in the House now, which is great. But there's still so much left to do. So that's a great point.
Yes, and holding them accountable is something that we have to do to move forward and look into the
Absolutely.
future. So we actually have a lot of questions coming in, Chris.
Oh, we
So
got questions? Good. I
we have
love questions.
Let's do it.
questions.
This is
Do
amazing. The
this.
next 2 hours with all these questions.
Right. So first question, as a lobbyist, what does your typical day at work look like?
That is a great question because I really don't have an answer to that. Someone who had asked me, who is actually a Georgia State alum, I just sat them down because they want to go to law school and they were asking me for advice about it. They asked me the same question. I said, my day started today at 5:37 a.m. because I was alerted that a bill that was coming up about voting was happening. So drafting talking points, policy papers, alerting everybody else within a coalition is typically what I do. That doesn't happen every day, but typically every day I'm looking at either policies or I'm talking to individuals or my staff and directing them saying, this is how we fight. Today, this is how we win. So I wish I could tell you today I was down at the Capitol, but I go to the Capitol maybe once or twice a week now. So I don't know. It's kind of like what you would ask a lawyer every day. What do they do every day? And you say, I don't know, try to build, make money, whatever. I just try to fight every day. If you want to shadow me one day, let me know, because a lot of people say, Bruce, I want to do what you do. And then they shadow me for a day and be like, nah,
Nope.
Nah.
not about that life.
Like, actually,
Actually,
I'm not sure.
Like, I'm good.
Right.
No, that definitely makes sense. Byron, you want me to go ahead to the next question?
Yeah,
Or you
yeah, I can take the next question. And this
Okay.
is coming from one of our longtime GSU friends, Lawrence Pittman. Thanks for
Hey,
joining, Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Hey, Lawrence.
So he's asking, kind of a piggyback on the last question. So what is another hot button issue that we as Georgia State alums to keep on in mind as far as the pulse of the city of Atlanta and state of Georgia to make sure we hold our representatives accountable?
Well, one thing that I want Georgia State alum, especially Black alum, to be aware of, we all know this. Georgia State University graduates the most amount of African Americans in the nation. We've been doing that for years now. Does our faculty reflect that? And the fact that it does not, we need to demand, not petition, but really demand more teachers at that institution to teach there, right? That's internally that we all can relate to. When I had taught at Georgia State before in the past, a lot of people, when I was teaching a senior seminar, a lot of the students said, wow, you are the first Black professor I have ever met. And to me, that's alarming. But I also remember, and y'all can share your stories too, there weren't many Black people who were teaching at the school. So,
True. Facts.
yeah, advocating always starts at home. It's nice to say, oh, well, I'm going to tell President Biden we're going to do this, or senators or whatever. They are so far from our community that we don't really need to worry about the issues that are happening in DC. We need to worry about the issues that are happening home. And in the city of Atlanta, if you live in the city of Atlanta, you would have voted about 6 times within the past year. That's how many voting things that we have. But you got another vote coming up. City of Atlanta, the mayor race and city municipal races are coming up too. So be careful about the issues that you're really advocating for. There's crime, safety, privacy that was happening. But let's not forget the protests. If protesters out there, if you thought they were treated humanely, or if they weren't treated humanely, you need to ask your city council person why that happened and what they were doing about it as far as upholding your First Amendment rights altogether. Because you as a citizen in the United States can exercise those rights against the government.
Great advice. We might need you to give us some bullet points so we can send out, because that was a great list of items you mentioned.
Yes.
Oh, happy to do that. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. Next question. And these are great questions and great answers. Thank you so much, everyone, for engaging with us and wanting to talk to Chris. Our next question is, what moment in your career made you feel that you were in the right field?
Oh, man. I
And
think
this might be several moments too, but
it was several moments, but I remember one specifically. It was my first year as a lobbyist at ACLU of Georgia. I had literally telling you guys no idea what I was doing. And there was a bill that came up, Senate Bill 1, that would have made protesters as domestic terrorists. And if you know anything
Wow.
about lobbying or anything else, right? Senate Bill 1 is one of the bills that really people put up. And if it's the first bill, you really expect it to be passed altogether. I was one of the few people that actually lobbied against that bill, and it actually it failed. And as a first year freshman lobbyist, to go against the majority leader of the party and saying, he was saying, who is this guy? Why is he taking my bill? I said, I'm really just a local black man who does not like your bill. And it was like, why are we even entertaining this? And they were like, well, because he has really good points going in. And another really quick story, one of my favorites is there was a Blue Lives Matter bill that was being passed. And within it, it would have raised the amount, this was in 2017, raised the penalties for if you got caught protesting within the area. Again, in 2017, 2016, people were in the streets protesting. So they would have raised it from a misdemeanor to a misdemeanor of aggravated nature, which would have carried a larger fine and jail time. So at this time, everybody's riled up. They're testifying in the committee hearing saying ACLU is going to sue, ACLU is going to do this. This is against your First Amendment speech. And I told the committee, I'll say, hey, everybody's talking about the ACLU. I'm going to tell you a different route. Why don't we think about this as if you're blocking streets, roadways, or sidewalks as protesters, that's one thing. But this is a time that the Atlanta Falcons were going to the Super Bowl. And if the Falcons won the Super Bowl, people were going to be in the streets, they were going to be in sidewalks, and they were going to block the side roadways. And you would have to prosecute them under this. And they were like, no, that's not what this bill was meant. Well, you can't make a bill for protesters or for celebrations. It doesn't matter. If you're doing the same nature, that's the law. I was like, so are you guys against the Falcons? They were like, oh, no, wouldn't be that. Let's strike that out of the bill. So that's when I realized if you think outside of the box, you can really influence people who may not always have your same goals in mind, but you can get them there just if you start thinking the way that they do.
Great advice.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Great. Looks like
next-
we have time for two more questions, Jasmine. So I'll take the next one.
Two more. Okay.
All right. So I see we have a lot of comments and questions about careers. So I'm going to ask you just one to kind of sum it all up. So what is one piece of advice you would give those who are still in school and those who are early in their career who are still unsure about their career path? Like, how can they navigate and really find out what they want to do?
Sometimes the best things to do is to mark off what you don't want to do. So like I was saying before, I wanted to be diversity and inclusion counsel for Coca-Cola. Once I found out all of the billing that this guy had to do, the meetings that he had to go to, which was incredibly boring, and the other monotonous jobs that he had to do, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. But I sought out a goal, and I was reaching for that goal until I said, I don't want to do that anymore. And then I went to another goal, and that other goal was to be a policy advocate out there in the world. And that's exactly what I mentioned before. But even before diversity and inclusion, I wanted to be a corporate partner. I saw how boring that was as an attorney and several other professions. So it's ever evolving. I can't say I'm always going to be as I love my job, but I don't think I'm going to be here forever. So I'm actually looking for the next step too. So you should always be looking for that next step.
We can't wait to see what that is. I know it's going to be awesome.
Right. And that is a perfect segue into our last question. If you weren't an attorney or if you weren't doing what you're doing right now, what profession would you choose? Where do you see yourself in the next, let's just say 10, 20 years?
Besides being the quarterback for the Falcons,
Yes, we need help. Thank you.
We definitely need help. We definitely need help. No, like I said, I really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out. I think I can take this aspect on the road. One of the privileges I had was fighting for voting rights in 2020 in all 12 Southern states for the ACLU. I was a co-facilitator of a project of guiding other affiliates in every state of saying, they're trying to do voter suppression tactics. We're going to fight them. So I love doing that too, focusing on other states of saying, hey, we're going to protect the right to vote of the most vulnerable. So doing that in the Southern region, which is what I love, I'm not leaving, or nationwide is one of the things I'm looking into.
All
That
right.
is awesome.
We will continue to follow your journey as fellow alum. We're so proud of you. Thank you so much for all of the work you have done in this city, in this state, and across the country. We definitely appreciate it.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. We might have to bring you back for part 2 and maybe make it a little bit longer to get some of the other questions we have on the audience.
Yes.
And also I want to point out that Jerome Miller made a comment, says, I want to shadow you. So Jerome Miller, get with Chris.
Oh, you see the tag right there? Yeah, let me know. I'll do it. And I'm telling you, if you, Byron, you know, if you can stroll in the plaza in front of hundreds of people, you can do what I do and testify to other people. So just let me know.
That's a great way to point out the
Yes.
picture. Yes, thank you.
I know we're a little over time, but before we go into closing remarks, Chris, do you have any last things you would like to leave with our audience?
First, I want to say thank you to both of you, Jasmine and Byron. Y'all do a great job with this. Love it. And I love what you're doing. I truly believe Georgia State can be the best university in the state and in the nation if we all come together and really develop within each other. That's what makes it the best college possible. It's the alumni. So make sure that you follow Georgia State's Young Alumni Association and everything that they do. Get involved. That's what I'm going to do from now on. So if y'all need anything, let me know.
Oh, don't say that. We're gonna let you know. We will let you know. And thank you so much again. And those of you who are following us, we actually have a Best of the Blue event where we highlight alumni. Our next event is this Tuesday coming up, February 9th. It is a fitness event on our Instagram Live. So join alumni Nate Anthony on Tuesday. And that's it. Byron, any last words?
Yeah, this has been amazing, Chris. Thanks again. You know, as a local Black man, you are our hero, and we're going to vote for you if you run for the
Listen, I was about to say.
race. So you mentioned it, so let us know. We can support you.
I'm still going to stay a local Black man. Thank y'all.
Thank you. And
All
thank
right.
you so much, everyone, for joining us. Again, thank you, Chris. Thank you to everyone who followed us. Make sure you follow Georgia State on Instagram and LinkedIn for all of our upcoming events.
And Jasmine, always a pleasure. See you next time.
See you next time. Byron.
Y'all are
Bye,
hilarious.
everyone.